welcome to another episode of Hoof-Hearted. I'm Doc, and today, no Mexalorian. So, I called up my cousin, and we talked about skateboarding. We talked about punk music, and we talked about physics. Well, sit back or stand up, whatever you do when you listen to this, and enjoy the episode. This is Doc, and this is another episode of Hoof-Hearted. And it is a special episode because the Mexalorian is not here today. He's actually having a tooth issue. So he's going to go see a real doctor and not me. So, but I have with me today my cousin Sean. And
howdy.
Yeah, howdy. And I feel like he's led a very interesting life, and he's an interesting person to me, so it should be fun. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of interview him, and hopefully the questions won't be too hard to answer.
I'll do my best. And I want to
Alright.
clarify, I said howdy, but I'm not an actual farmer.
Oh, okay.
I just play one on the weekends.
Oh, good. Was it like Farm Simulator?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know. Hey, man, they have Farm Simulator. They have a game where you
That's
are
right.
a farmer. So, I mean, you know, or you, I know you, yeah, like you could be a weed farmer. So I don't know.
Nope, not me.
Okay. All right.
No farming at all.
All right. Okay. Just checking. Yeah.
Well,
So,
I do XP farming oh, what's the name of the game? Elden Ring. I farm XP. That's it.
that's it. Okay. All right. Then you play Elden Ring?
I just got it, and I love it.
Yeah. That's a new one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
relatively.
Yeah. Isn't that by the people that made like Dark Souls?
Exactly.
Yeah. That game's too hard, man. I'm not going to even touch it.
It is hard, but it's really worth doing. I finally managed to clear out my first encampment of bad guys, and the sense of accomplishment I got was just immense. I was like, man, I did that.
Yeah, I get that. I get people, they love to have like that sense of accomplishment, where for me when I play games it's all about an escape. You know,
Mm.
trying to get away from things. So I want everything to be as easy as possible. And I like story driven games, you know, so that's why I like Grand Theft Auto. I like you know, I like The Last of Us, things like that. That's the
Mm.
stuff that I enjoy. So but I get the appeal of a game that challenges you, and then being able to overcome it. And I don't even like that in real life, to be honest. So that, I mean, which probably explains why I haven't done like really anything. So
I
yeah,
guess there is enough challenge in real life. I hadn't thought of it that way. Maybe I should be playing Mario.
yeah. Well, confession time. Mario was too difficult for me, so I
Oh
couldn't
no.
I couldn't beat Super Mario Brothers, the first one, without a game genie. So I had to cheat. I had to cheat in order to beat it. So I'm not good at games, and I'm a very patient person in real life, but when it comes to video games, no. I just
Huh.
I wanna zone out. So, but anyways, I wanted to talk about you, and uh, I don't know. You were always my most interesting cousin. I felt,
Mm.
and I guess I don't know. I kind of always, I guess, like in a way, I kind of idolized you or envied you, like just the whole like skater punk rock attitude, and just kind of like all of that. I always kind of dug, and I mean, I know that you're older than I am. I don't even know how much older you are than I am. I'm 43. How old are you?
I'll be 55 in July.
All right. Okay. So, I mean, that's a pretty huge, a pretty big gap. But I remember you skateboarding a lot, and I was
Hmm.
curious, like, what got you into that? Because that was what time was that, and like what
What
year?
point of my life?
Yeah, and what year did that happen?
Dude, I started skateboarding in '84 and skated up until like 2005,
Oh wow.
2006, and and then after that a little bit off and on, but seriously up until about 2005, 2006. And what got me into it was my brother, because he started skateboarding, and we lived in the woods. And a couple of thoughts occurred to me when I saw him doing it. First of all, where are you going to do this? We live in the
Yeah.
woods. And second, why are you doing this? And he let me handle his board a little bit, and I found it fascinating. And I looked at a copy of Thrasher magazine, and the guy was doing a trick, and I said, I can do that. And I tried it and tried it and tried it, and I finally did it. And I said, yeah, I can do that. So there it is, the challenge with the
Mm-hmm.
reward of accomplishment.
Yeah.
And it was after that it was on. I said, well, I got to get one of these myself. And then it was broken bones and cuts and all the fun.
Yeah. How old were you? Did you say?
Uh, in '84,
Yeah.
that would make me 17.
Really? Okay. I always thought you were a little younger, but yeah, at that when you
No,
started.
16 or 17.
Okay.
I mean, my memories of these things are imperfect. I've had a lot of concussions, so
Because of skateboarding, yeah, and the
because
challenge
of
there.
various
Yeah,
things, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Did you have like any like when you got into it? Did you have any like skaters that you kind of like tried to model your style after?
Not at first, because I didn't know any. We
Okay.
lived, like I said, out in the backwoods in Southern Oregon, and we didn't have TV or access to videos or
Yeah.
anything like that. That was when everything was VHS,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't have access to any of that. So we got Thrasher magazine, and at some point I learned about Lance Mountain and Tony Hawk,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought they were pretty cool, but I never really had an idol. I
Mm-hmm.
just I just skated to skate.
Yeah. Is there anybody now like when you like? Do you ever look at any other skaters like now and think like you like their style, or just kind of have you fallen off skateboarding?
Well, the one name that sticks with me is Tony Hawk, because he's been so pure about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just again skating to skate, absolute boarding. He just did it because he loved it, and still does, as far as I know.
Yeah,
And I think that's an awesome attitude.
yeah, and he's been so, uh, you know, I mean, he's been in the mainstream for so long. I mean, even
Hmm.
when he was with Bones Brigade, and he was, a big shot then, and then he ended up having his video games, which I think kind of accelerated his. Well, I wouldn't say accelerated his career, but I think it introduced him um, to a brand new set of people who wouldn't even normally be into skateboarding, and
Right.
I think that he's continued to make himself known,
Hmm.
especially with people confusing him for not being Tony Hawk. So, I don't know if you're familiar with that kind of meme. Yeah, he'll be out, and people will say to him, "You look like Tony Hawk," and he's like, "Really?" So and he'll say something like that on his Twitter or whatever. So
That's funny.
yeah, yeah. But have you one guy that I always liked, and I even liked his like in his interviews and stuff, just like the way he talks about skateboarding and even life was Rodney Mullen. Do you know anything about
Hmm.
him?
I don't know him well. I know the name,
Okay.
but yeah, I know that he skated well.
Yeah.
So,
If you get it, his groundwork is amazing. The things that he is able to do, on on the flat ground, it's insane.
Yeah.
So, um, and yeah, he's impressive. I like him a lot, and he's an interesting person. So if you ever get a chance to, you know, learn more about him, it's he's a good guy to check out and listen to and watch some of his stuff. So
Yeah, I never looked into his personality. I just know that I liked his skating, what I've seen of it.
yeah, yeah, no, he's an interesting guy. But have now I know that for like a short period of time you got into like some BMX stuff too, right? Like
Yeah.
trick bikes and stuff. Yeah. How
Yeah.
long did you
Well,
do
I was
that?
just a few years, like 4 or 5
Yeah.
years, and that was all cities, urban,
Mm-hmm.
uh, doing loading dock drops and stalls on parking areas and stuff like that. It was fun. It
Yeah.
was a good time.
What?
But
You know what?
man, when you fall, you fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
I dislocated my shoulder. I got spaghetti strips of skin on my shins. It was just when you crash those things, it's gnarly.
Yeah. What was like the worst injury you had, like skateboarding or riding a bike?
It was skateboarding. I separated my shoulder on a mini ramp.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I still remember the sound of it when I was falling. It was like I was falling in slow motion. I tried to catch myself, and my arm hit, and there was this wet tearing sound out of my
Oh
shoulder, and I
God.
was all, "Oh, that's not good."
Yeah.
And I stood up, and my arm was just hanging by my side, and I thought, "Well, that's not good either." So I shook my body like a wet dog, and my arm picked up and snapped back into place, and um, again, I thought that's not good, and I couldn't sleep for 2 days because it hurt so bad. It was gnarly.
Did you finally go to the doctor?
Yeah, I did, and they took an X-ray, and since nothing was broken, they didn't see a problem, and they said, "Well, you're just here to get free pain drugs. Get out of here, you stupid punk, or we'll call the police." And I was not impressed with the doctor,
Yeah.
so I didn't go back, and the injury continues to plague me to this day.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. If it's still bothering you.
Yeah, that shoulder's messed up. It's done.
Yeah. I got a shoulder injury too, but it's not as cool as that. So
I
I.
don't know if that's cool, but man, it hurt.
Well, I mean, you be the judge. I'll tell you the story. I threw my shoulder out throwing a potato at a wall. So, I mean,
That
that was it.
that's pretty cool.
Okay. All right. Well,
Throwing a potato at a wall.
yeah. I mean, it was at work, and I was just trying to see how there was like a dumpster, and it was probably, I don't know, maybe about 50 feet away, and I was trying to throw the potato to see if I can make it like burst, if I could throw it hard enough.
Yeah.
I didn't feel a pop, I didn't hear anything, but I just felt like, oh man, my shoulder doesn't feel right. So,
Oh no.
and yeah, that was it. So, I don't know, man. I
No.
think as far as street cred goes, I think throwing a potato is not very high up there. Like the mini ramp, I think that's a better story.
Man,
So,
it hurt.
yeah, yeah. No, so you you rode the skateboards and bikes. Did you do any other like extreme sports, or did you feel like it was extreme sports or anything?
Well, rock climbing,
Oh, okay,
especially bouldering,
okay,
that was a lot of fun. And I can't do that anymore because I can't support weight on this shoulder anymore.
yeah,
But so I've got like half an upper body now, which makes climbing difficult. But
yeah,
yeah, I did several years of rock climbing, and that was a really good experience. Talk about developing confidence.
yeah. Because were you like free climbing or
Well, the bouldering is free climbing, but
okay,
I did lots of climbing on belay too for longer routes or multiple pitches.
okay? Yeah, man, I can't.
And
Mm. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I got to go all over the place and climb things. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, you're up in Northern California, so there's all
Hmm.
sorts of great places to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being so close to Oregon, like just there's a lot of places I know you guys can take off to. So, uh, yeah, it's pretty up here, up there. Not like Southern California.
I don't know. I don't know what kind of climbing's available down there. We never got that far.
Well, I mean, like maybe, I mean, like maybe there's some stuff, but it's mostly like hiking trails and stuff like that. So that I'm aware of, but I've never
Hmm.
gone climbing. So I don't. I think I maybe climbed 3 trees in my life, so I really am not much of a climber, and I'm not really a hiker either. I hiked up to the. I tried to hike to the Hollywood sign, and
Wow.
yeah, that's a trek, man. And
Yeah.
I made it about a mile, and I'm looking at my heart rate, and my heart rate was at like 187,
Oh, geez.
and I'm like, I think I don't want to die on this hill,
Yeah.
so this is not the hill I'm dying on. So
No.
yeah, and then I was asked if I wanted to go back. I'm like, yeah, give me some time. So yeah, and then I was an
We'll just
idiot.
scoot down.
Yeah, yeah. I had jeans on, so I could have done it, but yeah, it's a tough trek, man. So it's a lot of stuff is a lot of the trails are steep and they're narrow, and and it's a popular like spot to like go hiking. So you got people like running up and down and walking up and down, and you have to kind of like find a
Hmm.
little. It's just it's nuts, man. So, but
Sounds like Yosemite.
yeah, yeah. I went to Yosemite once and driving on those roads, I'm like, it was kind of sketchy, man. So, but it's very beautiful. But yeah, I'm not a fan of heights, especially on a dirt road in a state that has always been threat. You've always been threatened to fall into the ocean from some big earthquake. So,
Right.
so but yeah. Um, so you also did mountain biking too, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cross country and downhill.
All right.
And I still have a bike which I ride occasionally, but it's not a mountain bike. It's hard to describe. They call it a clunker. It's single speed with coaster brake and no suspension on either end. And it's great. It's a simple bike. It's like the bikes I had when I was 4,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't break down. It just goes.
Oh, okay.
But the mountain biking and downhill mountain biking I did were also a good time. I got to do some races in both cross country and downhill,
Okay.
and I'm telling you, the cross country races were just tough, and the downhill mountain bike races were just fun. So I gravitated towards the downhill
Yeah. I've
because you
seen some of those.
just pedal hard and go fast and jump over things and have a good time.
Yeah. Now, when you have a downhill race like that, are you able to like check out the track before you actually?
Yeah,
Okay, good. I'm like, it would suck if you're like uh, seeing some fallen tree or something like that.
where'd this come from?
Yeah, yeah. Now, did that ever happen though? Like, were these courses? Because I'm assuming that they were out in the woods. Would there ever be like a branch or something like that that falls like in the middle of the race and it's like out of nowhere, or do they clean that
Uh,
up?
I didn't have anything like that happen while I was on a
Okay.
course. I had other riders fall, and you have to go around them,
Yeah,
but that's about it.
yeah. Did you win any races?
No, curiously, I always came in exactly in the middle. If there were 13 people, I would take seventh.
Okay.
I don't understand it. I still don't understand it. Whether it was cross country or downhill, if you put me in a pack of people, I came in exactly in the middle.
Oh,
Now, on motorcycles, when I was a little kid, I won a lot of races,
okay. So you
but
did
I didn't have to
motocross?
pedal that.
Yeah, you did
No, I
motocross or what?
I did TT, which is like flat track.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So you take a flat track and you cut a couple of extra turns into it with a jump between them,
Okay.
and that's called TT. And you just race that as fast as you can, sliding through the corners, and it was a blast. I loved it, and I thought I was going to go places with that, but then my stepdad snorted all the
The
rent
winnings.
money, and and we had to leave town. So
Gotcha.
that
Were
was the
you
end of that.
were you in Oregon at the time?
Uh huh.
Oh, okay. All right. Then how old were you?
Like 12 and 13.
Oh, okay. Was that like the first like introduction into that extreme sports, I guess they call it. So,
Well, racing anyway.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was okay.
yeah. That was it. That's how I got started in going fast and competing with other people while they go fast.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can never go fast. I think that was why I was always so um, interested in the things that you could do, the things that I never could do. So I'm like, I remember watching you um, ollie off of grandma's porch in the back, and I thought that, I
Yep.
mean, you're ollieing off of that, like going over the other step right into dirt. It's not like you're gonna go anywhere, but
No,
yeah,
still good practice.
exactly, yeah. So I remember that, and it was just interesting to see that, and I was fascinated by it. So I'm like, that's something I wanted to do, but I never could. I got a skateboard. I think I got a skateboard because of you guys, and
Mm.
it was like a I think we got it at Kmart. It was like a Nash skateboard,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know what they're called, but I mean, you know how now they have like the tails go up. They get tails on both sides.
Yeah.
It didn't have that. It just had the tail in the back.
Right. Flat nose.
Yeah. Yes. There you go. And I remember it had a ninja on the bottom,
Yeah.
and I think I was riding the skateboard. I felt uncomfortable, and I think I hit a rock,
Mm.
and I didn't fall, but I got off the skate. Like I ended up stumbling off the skateboard, and I'm like, nope, standing's not going to be for me. So I started I started to just put a knee on the skateboard and just start scooting like that. That
That
was
works too.
yeah, that was yeah. But you can't do the cool tricks though. I'm not ollieing off of
Hard.
grandma's thing.
Right. Hard to do an ollie when you're scooting, but still.
Yeah, yeah. But that's what. But yeah, you did end up. You were the one that inspired me to get my Nash skateboard. I think so.
Awesome.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but I was just too scared to do anything with it. So yeah. But now,
Mm.
so you did mountain biking for how long? Like when did you stop?
Oh,
Because it was recent,
geez.
right?
Um, Decades. I can't remember the years. I started in like 1986 with my
Really?
first bike shop job. Yeah, when mountain biking was just coming out, and I rode mountain bikes until 2008,
Okay.
2009. No, I just got rid of my last mountain bike on shoot, that's it's much longer than that. I got rid of my last mountain bike in 2019.
Oh wow,
So that's 33 years.
wow. Now, what's made you?
Now I feel old.
Yeah, what made you hang all that stuff up? Anyways, just getting older and body not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's when I fall. Um, Riding is not a problem. Falling is a problem.
yeah,
The injuries are so semi-permanent now. I get hurt and it hurts for weeks instead of a few hours.
yeah.
And I I can't do that. I have to drive buses and I have to be a dad and a husband, and I don't have time for injuries anymore.
Well, yeah, I'm feeling that same way. Like getting older is not. You end up getting some random pain, and then you're thinking, "Am I dying now? Like, is this
Yeah.
cancer? Like, I don't
Is
know."
Is this a heart attack or a burp?
Yeah, oh my God, yeah, exactly. Uh, and it's terrible because I never had heartburn before, and then all of a sudden it just started springing up, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And
Yeah.
just yeah, and then I'm like,
Yeah,
am I having a heart attack?
there's lots of what the hell is going on happening in my life at 55. I mean, I qualify as a senior at Taco Bell now,
Oh,
so
sweet. All right.
that means I'm getting old.
Yeah. Hey man, start using those discounts though, man.
Absolutely. 15% is 15%.
Hey, I'll take it. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go back to your punk rock days. I know that you're doing music now, but
Hmm.
I gotta tell you, I really like when I end up thinking of punk rock, I think of your band actually, the band that you were in. I'm not gonna say it's your band, but the band that you were
Right.
in,
The process.
The Process. Which, by the way, there's a lot of different bands called The Process. I
I've
found.
noticed, yeah.
Yeah. So
But
and none.
you can find our music on YouTube if you enter the process Ukiah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's where I found it.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody was kind enough to upload it, and yeah, it's just when I think of punk rock, that's what I think because I love old school punk rock, and uh, I don't. Sometimes you want that, and I had a hard
Hmm.
time um, finding other bands that sounded similar. I guess the only other band that I could think of that kind of scratches the itch, and I'm not a huge like punk rock fan, so I'm sure that there's a lot of underground bands that that are great, but like Bad Religion I like,
Hmm.
you know, but after that like it's kind of hit and miss with a lot of other stuff, but I actually listened to the whole album that you guys had that was uploaded, and I mean, what year was it that you got into the band, and was that the kind of music that you always kind of were gravitated towards, or you just,
Yeah.
yeah,
I got into the band in '98, I think.
uh huh,
I was skateboarding down the sidewalk near my house, and this lifted pickup truck screeches to a halt, and this guy dressed up as a firefighter jumps out and he says, "Hey!" I pick up my skateboard with my right hand. I'm ready to swing it. I think I'm about to get into a fight. And he goes, "Do you play guitar?" And I go, yeah." He goes, "Great. Come visit me. I live right down in blah 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 blah." And it was all uphill from there. That was Dr. T, and that was my introduction to him, and we formed a band. And uh and I forgot the rest of the question.
no, it's okay. So did I, so it's all right. But it's part of getting old, man. But you
Yeah.
guys, so he was the founding member. Were there other members in the band when you joined?
No, we had to find members. So
Okay.
we got Bodie for bass. So Troy, that's Dr. T. Troy was uh he had a background in punk and rockabilly,
Yeah, I
and
got that. Yeah, you
we
could kind of
found
tell. Yeah.
we found Bodie to play bass, and he was a classically trained pianist.
Okay.
And then we got Joe on the drums, who was into jazz and metal.
Okay.
And then you had me on backup guitar, rhythm guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And I was classic rock and folk music, and we put all that together and turned the volume up to 11 and the speed up to 11,
Yeah.
and you got the process.
Yeah. I thought that his vocals too were pretty impressive. I think that's the thing that I
Hmm.
liked the most because I mean, with a lot of punk bands, the the music can be similar. I do pick up on some rockabilly in some of the songs, but
In his guitar work.
yeah, but but the vocals I always thought were, his vocals were great. Even the song that you did too, I like that one too. But um,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. And actually, like I went back and I listened to it, and I was kind of surprised that to hear you singing like that. I was I think I remember being surprised when I first heard it too, because you ended up giving me an EP when you guys first pressed them. But
Mm.
yeah, like I wasn't into heavy stuff, and then in high school I started to get into it. So like late '90s, and then um, yeah, and then once you ended up giving me that EP and I listened to it, uh, that changed my whole view on like punk rock music. So, because I
Mm.
mean, like at the time, it was like Green Day and
Right.
and Blink 180, is it Blink 182? So it was all like
Something like that.
poppy punk, and I know that there was, there was the punk rockers in high school that they had their mohawk and their leather vest, and they had their Dead Kennedy shirt, and but I never bothered to like get into it, and or they have like the Misfits and stuff, Ramones, but I do like the Ramones, actually. Now
Yeah,
that I think
me
about it,
too.
but who were your influences though? Like,
My
uh,
primary influence in terms of punk has always been Fear.
okay,
Fear, Fear, and more Fear. Fear the record is the best punk record ever made, and now your listeners are going to want to fight me because I said that, and that's okay. I'll fight them. Um, but Fear the record is amazing.
so wait, the record is called Fear the Record.
Well, the band is Fear, and the
Okay.
record is called The Record.
Oh, okay. All right then. Are they on like iTunes or anything like that, or
I don't know. I haven't checked.
I guess I'll
Um,
look right now. So
yeah, I mean, you got a computer.
exactly.
But leaving the vocalist for Fear is the most amazing vocalist. He can do anything. He did on the record. He does punk rock vocals, blues, stuff that's hard to describe, but it's all excellent work.
Okay. Let's see now. Where are they from? Do you know?
East Coast, I think New York. I
Okay.
don't I don't do a lot of biography.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure that I've got the right, because I don't see the record. I do see a band called Fear. They look old, so I'm guessing.
That might just be them.
Yeah. Yeah. It says like along with Black Flag and the Circle Jerks, they helped
Hmm.
define the style of LA hardcore. So back in '77. So that sounds
Oh, I
about
thought
right.
they were New York. They're LA.
Well, I mean, they could have.
Shows what I know.
Yeah. Exactly. Well,
So
you
anyway,
admitted.
Fear. Yeah, it sounds like you got the right Fear.
Okay. Good. Yeah. I didn't want to get the wrong Fear. So.
My
Um,
favorite song is "I Love Living in the City."
all right. Cool. They got that one. So I will check that out actually once we're off of the computer here.
Yeah,
So.
I gotta go at 10 because I have to get the oil changed in my car. I have an appointment. I know that's exciting.
Oh.
So I thought I'd share it with everybody.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, well then we'll go ahead and we'll stop it here.
Oh,
And
okay,
what we could do is, because I wanted to get into physics, because I know you got a degree in physics, right?
that's true.
All right, so I definitely wanted to get into physics, and I wanted to get into the physics of skateboarding. So um,
Newtonian mechanics.
yeah, because I actually watched a video recently with Rodney Mullen and uh, a physics student, and they
Hmm.
both. I found it interesting because um, Rodney was like, he's like a physics professor without really knowing it, and it was
Yeah,
just interesting to see like how he understood physics without knowing the terms, and she knew the terms, and she found it impressive how the skater's mind worked to overcoming certain obstacles and innovating and learning how to control and manipulate the board.
yeah.
So Um, yeah, so I just kind of I wanted to pick your brain on all the physics stuff, and um, yeah. So what we could do is we could go ahead and stop it here. You could get your oil change,
Well,
and then we can record another time.
I was gonna say, check out Fear and tell me what you think.
I will do that. Yeah, I'll text you and let you know. I'm looking forward to that. And then next recording that we have, I'll just splice them together, and we can talk a little bit more about the punk rock and maybe some other bands, and we'll go from there. So, all right, enjoy your oil change.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I know. Good times, man. All right, I'll talk to you
All
later.
right.
All right,
Yep.
all right, bye.
Just facts by rote, one after another.
Yeah,
Just memorizing events, and I didn't care. I didn't care about any of it. That's not what I went to school for.
exactly. What does that have to do with physics?
It's supposed to broaden your perspective, and I kept arguing that my perspective was already sufficiently broad,
Yeah.
but they weren't buying it.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I really don't understand it. I feel like it's just a money grab, um, you know. And then of course I'm a big conspiracy guy, so then my mind goes in other places. So I have to try to like squash all those thoughts, you know, because I know that it's not as wild and crazy as I think. But you know, so you know what? Okay, real quick. Speaking of conspiracy stuff, you lived in Oregon. I'm
Yeah,
sure, and you lived in Northern California. I
yeah.
don't know how often you've been out in the woods. I remember Josh used to go out there.
Hmm.
Okay, Bigfoot. Like, have you heard anything as a scientifically minded person? What do you think Bigfoot could possibly be?
A bear.
A bear? You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of the samples returned have been bear shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But this is my argument, right? Like, so my argument as to the possibility of a creature that would be in those dense woods that I mean, like, okay, so let's say a human being who's a mountain man knows how to live off the land, right? If he wants to go ahead and be by himself in those woods, and he knew how uh, to make himself unknown, he could very easily do it because those woods are very thick. I just think that if there was a small population of a certain animal that knew um, how to like hide themselves, I think there's a possibility. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But did you guys hear a lot of stories when you were up in Oregon, or
No,
no?
mostly the talk was of UFOs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you ever experience any of that or see any of it?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I saw UFOs.
Okay. Now, do you think that
But
that's extraterrestrial, or do you think that it's, you know,
I don't know. My
yeah,
emphasis is on the U.
mm, yeah,
Unidentified.
yeah,
I have no idea what I was looking at.
yeah.
I can tell you um I went out to look at the stars. I brought my telescope out to the driveway to look at the stars, and I looked up to the east, and the sky was clear, and I looked up overhead, and the sky was cloudy, and then there was this bright light, and it moved one direction and then moved 90 degrees in the other direction without turning,
Okay. Wow.
and then I woke up, and I was lying in the gravel with my telescope next to me. And I
Really?
walked into that, yeah, and I walked into the house, and my dad said, "You see anything?" I said, "Nope."
Okay.
And it was 45 minutes later. So where'd the time go?
Ah, so you had was it, yeah,
But
that,
my butthole didn't hurt.
okay, well, yeah, there you go. Good. They weren't those aliens.
Nope. not probers.
I used to have this terrible joke. Um, I used to, I used to say, I'd be like, "Oh man, did I ever tell you that story? I was abducted by aliens." And then they're like, "What? No way!" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, yeah, it was a terrible experience. They threw me in the back of their truck and forced me to pick vegetables all morning. I thought the anal probe was inappropriate, but when in Rome, right?" So,
That's right.
yeah, but yeah, this is a dumb joke. But okay, so do you remember when I asked you how we can make a homemade UFO? You
No.
probably don't. Yeah, because that was a long time ago. It was when you were first doing physics, like you were into you first started your classes, I believe.
Huh.
And I asked you, I'm like, well, how could you create a UFO? And I was asking you about like magnets and stuff. I was in high school, so my brain goes all over the place, and I have no science background, and I don't bother to study anything enough to actually know how things work. So I was like, man, it's got to be magnets. But you were telling me how a UFO could theoretically work. And I remember you saying that basically what has to be done is you have to be able to control or manipulate space around the object. Is that still
Yeah.
is that correct?
Yeah, that's the only way to do it because the accelerations produced by magnets or other forces, as we understand them, would kill the occupants.
Yeah,
Because to be moving in one direction and then suddenly be moving 90 degrees in another direction without turning,
yeah,
just smashes everything inside the UFO.
yeah. The amount of G-force that it would
Yeah,
take that it would create. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, if you manipulate space around it, then
that's the only way to do it.
yeah. All right then. Now, do you think that that is at all possible? I know you said that you have your experience with a UFO. Do you think that it's at all possible after all the classes that you took? What do you think?
Well, it's not possible the way we understand the universe.
Okay.
There's nothing that we could do that would produce that kind of effect. But there's more to be learned.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're gonna look at like unidentified flying objects, you would lean more towards the extraterrestrial side than the military side, or humans constructing those things.
Well, I think that it's more likely that it was lightning uh, in the clouds,
Oh, okay.
and that I was just stressed out because my parents were getting a divorce.
Oh, well then there you go. Yeah.
But since I can't identify what happened, I can't say for certain that's what was going on, and I'm not a psychologist, so.
Yeah.
But the you know I can't tell you what's possible and what's not possible. I can only tell you what we can do, and what we can do is put wings on a tube and move it through the air at high speed.
Yeah. Have you seen any of like the videos of like the Air Force and all the footage and stuff that they have as far as like
Yeah,
yeah.
isn't that fascinating?
Well, it makes me wonder,
Me too.
but
What is it?
yeah. But see, now me personally, like I've never been a firm believer in UFOs and extraterrestrials. I guess my argument's always been, do I think that we're the only living beings that exist in this universe? No. It's
No.
massive. So I feel like it would be pretty close-minded to think that we're it.
Yep.
But I think why would anybody want to? Why would another race or another being from a different galaxy want to come here to like watch us?
And
But
why would it buzz our jets?
yeah, exactly.
Right.
But then
That's hubris.
yeah, but then as I started to think about it more, and I mean, really, we go to the zoo to watch animals, right?
Yeah.
You know, um,
Yep.
and then us human beings, we keep wanting to go further and further into space. Maybe these, UFOs or extraterrestrials, whatever they are. Maybe they are, um,
Making sure we
just
stay in the zoo.
yeah, exactly. Or maybe they're just more advanced than we are, and at some point in time in our existence, we can reach that level of intelligence to where we could end up traveling to other galaxies and things like that. So, but
Now you're talking Star Trek.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Have you um have you ever seen The Expanse
No.
or heard of it? It's a show. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's it's based off a set of books. Um, it's really well done,
Hmm.
and I actually just watched a video today of a physicist talking about the some of the special effects that they do in the
Hmm.
show, and I believe that when they did the show, that they actually hired some physicists to make sure that things were done accurately as far as gravity is concerned, at least as far as we understand it. And it's a
Right.
really well done show, and I think that the realism, or at least to me, the realism adds to the show being more believable. Where then you take some of the older stuff um, like some of the things on Star Wars or some of the other science fiction movies and TV shows, not being as believable, kind of takes you out of it.
That's because Star Wars is about magic.
True, and Star Wars also takes place in a galaxy far, far away, so you're able to get out of this whole, figuring out their physics because you don't know. But they all look like humans, except for the Wookiees and the Ewoks, and okay, so they
Yeah.
have some
And
humans there.
Twi'leks. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Fortunately, they all speak English.
yeah, which is weird. So yeah, well, maybe Lucas got a translator. I don't know, and then he,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't know how it goes, um, but are there any like yourself being a physics guy? Are there any shows that you watch or any books that you've read that are you're like, yeah, that's pretty on point?
Well, um, I love Star Wars, but I regard it as fantasy, not science fiction, because
Okay, yeah.
it's all about magic. The Force is just magic.
Mm-hmm.
And in spite of their attempt to explain it with what they call it mitochondrians or something like that.
Midichlorians, I think. I don't know. I'm not a Star Wars guy, so.
Anyway, they try to explain it away scientifically, and you're all yeah, yeah, whatever. It's magic.
Uh huh.
And but in terms of science fiction shows, I like the Star Trek uh, universe. It's just they're trying to stick with science that is doable,
Mm-hmm.
like a warp drive. People are actually working on warp technology,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a toy or a story component. It's science,
Yeah.
and whether we ever scale it up to the point where we can move a ship with it is something else. But there there's something to it. So it's not just magic.
Yeah. And see, now I do think that there are a lot of things on Star Trek that you, I think they definitely could be possible, like
Yeah,
like a holodeck. Like I
yeah.
think that that's totally realistic, especially nowadays with the VR headsets and all that.
Hmm.
But the one thing that I don't see happening is the teleporter.
Yeah.
It
It's going to be a while before people are ready to trust something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, just think of the mess because you have to break every molecule down and then reform it in
Yeah.
exactly the precise way that you had
Yep.
it. And then the thing is like that has to be like a clean room, right? Because
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
any other
Absolutely.
any other thing that gets in there, and then you end up having the fly.
And
So
you've got a fly in your spleen, sir.
yeah, yeah. Is it doing the backstroke? That's a old
Yeah.
soup joke. Okay. Anyways, but I mean, it's just yeah. There's just too much that could go wrong. Now I have seen articles where they talk about a type of teleporting where they took I think they basically what they did is they replicated something. It was like microscopic. They took it and then they replicated it in a different spot, basically.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that that's not that's just making a copy. That's like a fax machine. It's not actually
Yeah. You,
teleporting.
you still have the original at the original location. And then
Exactly.
you have a problem of two of the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've met me. I don't want another one running
Yeah.
around.
Well, then you end up probably also too with that movie Multiplicity. You ever seen that movie?
Uh-uh.
He basically figured out a way to copy himself, and then the more copies he made copies of copies, and they just kept getting dumber and dumber. So
Oh,
by the end of it, he had a copy of himself, but he was a complete moron. So
right.
yeah, which yeah, I don't know. I don't. I can understand cloning, like certain things. I can understand it to a certain extent, especially if it came to like, uh, lack of a better term, body farming, right?
Yeah,
Like creating organ farming. There you go, organ farming. Like
I
creating
understand you.
organs. Yeah, creating organs for humans and stuff like that. Especially if, um, let's say you had if they took, because I think I saw this somewhere, but taking the your DNA at birth and then basically creating your own organs and having them grow with you throughout throughout time. So then when you are older, you could actually have like a new heart if your heart goes down, and then you've got
Right.
one on deck, kind of a thing. I think I saw that on some TV show, but I mean it.
Yeah, I don't have
Science
a
is
problem
crazy.
with that.
Yeah, science is crazy. That's science, and I think it's interesting too how science fiction, um, how scientists get a lot from science fiction writers, uh, and I think that can be because I mean they feel like it's a challenge a lot of times so uh, it is quite interesting because I know that they had stories about us going to the moon well before they even had rockets or even had the
Right.
idea of a rocket, and then they're like, "That's a great idea. Let's do it. Let's go to the moon. Find out if it actually is cheese."
Yeah,
So
find a way to get there.
yeah.
My favorite science fiction movie is Blade Runner.
Oh really? Okay. Yeah, that was a good
Yeah.
one. I like
Yeah,
that
I
one.
love the director's cut of Blade Runner. It's just amazing.
Have you read the book?
Um, do androids dream of electric sheep?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Did you see the sequel to it?
Right, what I call Blade Runner 2, I can't it
It's like
was set in a different time period a couple
yeah.
years later.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's
Yeah, it
like
was
20
okay.
something. Yeah. Yeah, it was all
It
right.
was okay.
It was all right. But the first one was really good, and
First one was spectacular.
yeah, I couldn't say I have a very I don't think I have like a favorite science fiction movie. I think Expanse is probably my favorite science fiction story, but
Okay,
it's not.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, if you have Amazon Prime, definitely check it out. It's
Yeah, I've been watching The Boys.
Oh, have you? Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great show. Yeah, definitely can't watch that with the kid around.
No, I locked the door.
Yeah, yeah. No, did
So,
you get caught up on season three or?
no, I'm finishing season 2.
Oh, okay. All right then. Um, I'll just
No,
fair.
no spoilers.
No spoilers. The only thing I'm gonna say is season three is the most outrageous. That's all I'm gonna
I
say.
believe you.
Yeah. So, it's pretty wild. So, well, let me. I wanted to talk to you about physics. I know we've gone into that a little bit because that's kind of like I know we already talked about the punk rock stuff and we talked about skateboarding and and I do think that physics and skateboarding kind of they can kind of go hand in hand. I mean, they definitely do,
Definitely.
definitely
Yeah.
do. Um, but I wanted to talk to you about physics, and I know we've talked a little bit about it already. But what was it that got you into that? Like, why was it that you're
Well,
like, I'm going into physics?
given all the other options,
Yeah.
it's the fact that physics is the fundamental question. Why anything?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm.
I grew up asking that question of myself and of others. Why anything? Why does anything exist? And I got lots of different answers, frequently religious, and none of the answers made any sense to me. So I thought, well, why not ask people who've been asking the same question
Mm-hmm.
and have formulated a method of investigating. And so I chose physics because why anything?
Well, and I think it's interesting too, though, that you had kind of like a philosophical reason for wanting to get into to physics. Did you ever like
Well,
think of getting into
physics
philosophy?
physics is called natural philosophy.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was originally called by Newton back in the day.
Oh, okay.
He and his cronies referred to physics as natural philosophy, and the word physics came about later.
Oh, okay. All right then. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Something that I've always been curious about, as far as like physics go, I know that there are still some things that are unexplainable, right? Like,
Oh
um,
yeah.
do do you chalk that up as like, and let's say like UFOs, right? Is it,
Mhm.
in your opinion, would you say that they don't exist because physics can't prove it, or they could possibly exist because we haven't figured out how to prove it?
UFOs certainly exist. That's not even a question.
Yeah,
The emphasis again is on
the
the
U.
U, unidentified.
Yeah.
There are many, 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 many things in the universe that are unidentified, phenomena and objects, and um, the effort to understand them is science.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. I guess what I'm trying to get at is, do you see something that is unexplainable and like instantly just say that's not possible, or do you say I want to try and figure that out?
If you see something, it is possible,
Well, okay, I guess see
and
or hear something like a hypothetical, or or you hear from somebody else, like you know.
well, if I hear about something that is unexplained, I will say to myself, I don't understand that.
Okay,
But that doesn't mean it's not real.
okay,
It just means I don't understand it. Um, but some things have explanations that people don't like, like
true.
a ghost sighting.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few different factors that can feed into that. Reflected light from the roadway,
Mm-hmm.
a car passing by, and a psychological state. They're sleepy and they miss their dead mom.
Yeah.
So suddenly it's a ghost sighting. That's that makes more sense to me than um, the the spirits of dead people loitering around apartments.
Yeah, and they're always from like a certain like time frame too. Like they're never like you don't ever see like caveman ghosts wandering around, and
Right,
it's always like only spirits from like the last 100 or so years or 200 years have you actually seen
right.
anything. Yeah, I always
And
thought that was
and
kind of
and the
confusing.
whole thing preconceives the notion of spirit to begin with,
Uh huh.
which is a question that has yet to be um, proven.
So
Show me a spirit.
yeah, yeah, I understand that. So now, in that, and I guess that's kind of what I was trying to get at. Like, in the case of a spirit, without any kind of scientific evidence, do you feel like that is something that we just still don't understand and it could be possible? Or do you personally, do you just kind of be like, no, I'm not, I don't believe it, that kind of a thing?
Well, that's kind of a double-edged sword because a lack of evidence is not necessarily evidence of lack. So, in other words, just because we can't prove there are spirits doesn't mean they don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody has been able to deliver a, how can I put it, a foundation for that particular belief. Everybody has a different theory for what is happening inside the human body. Is there a spirit? Is there a soul?
Yeah.
And there's no unified view on that at all. I mean, it's all over the place, and so when it's all over the place, you don't have a theory that makes any sense. And if it doesn't make any sense, it's probably not real. Has been my experience.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I don't believe that at all because there's no reason to. Have I seen ghosts? Yes, but again, my parents were in the middle of a messy divorce,
Yeah.
and I had been fed religious doctrine all my life. So I was taught to believe that they exist. And if you believe that something exists and you're given the right stimulus, then yes, you think it exists.
Yeah. I had an experience too when I was probably around 8 or 9, and um, and I do agree with you as far as like as far as ghosts are concerned, and I think that that's a great example because a lot of times, like you watch these shows, a lot of these things are like, oh, I saw orbs. No, I worked in a photo lab. I know what dust is. I know what little
Yeah.
tiny bugs will look like when they come across the lens when the shutters opened.
Hmm.
It's like I no, they're not ghosts. You're in an attic. You're in an abandoned house. You're in a dirty house. Like whatever. But but the experience that I did have, it was. I remember the sun was like bright in my room, so it was like middle of the afternoon, early morning. It was me and my dad in the house, and my dad was, um, he was off like in another room, quite a distance away, and I was sitting there on my floor in the middle of my room, and I'm playing with my GI Joes, and I heard somebody say my name,
Hmm.
and and it didn't sound like my dad. It just sounded like, somebody just said my name. It didn't sound like my dad. I went to go ask him. So I had to physically get up and walk down the hall and go ask him if he called me. Now, it didn't sound like somebody saying a name from a long distance. It just sounded like somebody standing right behind me saying my name. And he said it wasn't him. So I went back, sat down, and then I heard it again. And then I got up, and then I went and I asked my dad again. And he said, "Are you hearing somebody saying your name?" And I say, yeah. And then he says, well, maybe it's God. Next time you hear it, say, God, is that you?
Huh.
So I sat back down, and then I was waiting. I was waiting for something to happen again, and then nothing happened. I didn't hear
Mm-hmm.
another voice. I didn't hear my name again. Like I never did after that. And so I too was raised in a religious home, and um, my thought, my thought at that time was, well, I guess God doesn't want to talk to me, so He was just teasing me, and and he decided that I don't want to talk to you. So, but that's the one thing, because there's other things too that have happened, but that's the one thing that I can never understand, because I have no history of hearing voices, not before that incident or after, and so I just I don't know. I've always been. Uh, I do agree with you. Like as far as like things that are unknown, like the spirit realm or um, uh, you know extraterrestrials or things like that. I do think that we shouldn't be so quick to we shouldn't be so quick to say yes they exist, just like we shouldn't be so quick to say that they don't. There should be some sort of like scientific proof. There should be um, some way of trying to prove these things. And when I watch those ghost hunting shows, I like to watch the ones where they at least seem to have more of a scientific approach to the things.
Yeah.
But still at the same time, you're watching a television show where the whole idea is to sell ad time and
Yeah.
create an audience. And yeah, so it's that's the one thing though. I can't understand why I heard that voice. It still like kind of gets on me. It gets to me. Like I'm like I don't know, man. Like I don't know. That's the one thing I can't like.
Plain.
Yeah, I can't explain it, because
Mm-hmm.
it definitely didn't sound. You know what my dad sounds like, and
Yeah.
it didn't sound like him. It was a deeper voice. So, but let me ask you this too, because
Mm.
like physics wise, I know that you were a fan of Albert Einstein, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I know that he talked about time, right? Like,
Yeah.
do you think theoretically that time travel is real, or can possibly be real, the way that Hollywood explains it?
Well, it doesn't make any sense to me, but I can't say I'm an expert in time travel, so.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean,
But the way Hollywood does it doesn't make any sense to me.
no. It as far as like scientifically, how would time travel be possible?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just don't know. I'd
It
have to hem and haw a lot and make up a bunch of stuff to answer that question.
okay. All right then. What was like the area of physics that you really like kind of like got into? Like was there a certain area, or you just kind of like had a
Well,
broad.
a bachelor's degree in physics means that you've studied a lot of Newtonian mechanics, which is the mechanics of motion.
Oh, okay.
So, speed, velocity, which are two different things, acceleration, um, the whole idea of traveling a distance over time and what that means,
Okay.
and the arc of an object as it moves through the atmosphere, things like that.
Okay. So again, like skateboarding kind of got got into that, because I know that that has a lot to
Yep.
do with skateboarding. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Watching.
Yeah, friction.
Yeah. Yeah. If you watch a skateboarder, if you watch them doing street work, kick flips, even an ollie, like to see it in slow motion, like the physics at work, it's to me, I feel like it's even more impressive.
Yeah.
Like to because it looks to see a professional doing it in standard time, like regular time, it is impressive, but you're like, yeah, okay. But you don't even really notice like when they just do an ollie, you never notice that that front foot comes up off the board and then quickly comes back onto the board to to bring it back down to earth. It's just it's I don't know.
To
It's really
level it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just really impressive. I think it's interesting too that that's the area that you went into. Um, what was your reason for wanting to get into that area of physics? Were you trying to create a warp drive yourself, or figure out figure
Well,
out light
just
speed?
the Newtonian mechanics is the focus for the first 4 years, and then um, if I had gone on to master's or PhD program, then I would have focused on something a little bit different.
Oh, okay.
There is a course in uh, quantum, and that one I never got to, so I
Oh, okay.
stuck strictly with the Newtonian mechanics.
When
Quantum's weird.
quantum's weird.
Yeah.
Why is it so weird?
Um,
I don't know enough about
because
physics to know. You're saying words, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to look these up.
because you can have two objects that are separated by time that communicate to each other instantaneously, and that's weird.
Hmm. Really?
Yeah.
That is that is weird.
Yeah.
So they study like how that's even possible.
Not only how it's possible, but how to use it for communication. They're working on using that particular aspect of quantum mechanics for communication, that you would be able to have instantaneous communication between distant points, any distance.
So so basically, like for an example, somebody's on Mars, and then somebody's on Earth, and then they can communicate instantly.
Right, if you have the right quantum setup, and setting it up and maintaining it is difficult and energy intensive, but it's theoretically possible.
Huh. That's pretty interesting. And see, like I hear something like that, and then my mind starts to go off into more like um, like a different realm, I guess. Like I start thinking like not spiritual, but like I guess in a way spiritual, like more like magic, like we were talking about with Star Wars. Like I think that, I mean that's where my mind usually goes, and I guess maybe that's because I'm not I don't have enough knowledge about science and uh, like I was talking about with that game. My understanding of science is limited, so I'm gonna start putting it towards I'm gonna start explaining it as magic, and
I'm trying to remember the name of the person who said it, but to paraphrase, magic is just technology that is insufficiently understood.
oh, okay.
Um, was that Heinlein? I can't remember. I'm gonna try to look it up. Anyway, yeah, magic. High technology can seem like magic. I mean, think about what we're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Um, 250 years ago, we would have been burned at the stake for this.
yeah, and I would probably go up pretty fast. I'm a fat dude, so all that fat crackling.
I think we'd both go up pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is, and think about too, like the technology that's come along since we were kids, and then where we're at now, and it is pretty amazing. Because I mean, yeah, the internet existed, when we were kids, but only the military had it, or a select few. And then cell phones coming along, and it's just I remember having a
Oh, it's
walkie.
Clark.
Clark.
Arthur C. Clarke.
Oh, okay.
Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially to somebody who, yeah, if you don't understand any of it, then
Right.
yeah. I think though, for me though, what I'm kind of getting at is like my mind usually goes in that direction of like magic first, you know, and I try not to be that way. Like I have to, and I do, and like you were talking about the religious upbringing, I have the same. I don't have the same, but I have a religious upbringing. So,
Understood.
and my denomination or whatever was really on the spiritual and emotional side of religions are concerned or denominations are concerned. So there was like speaking in tongue and laying on a hand. So
Yeah,
there
we had all
was,
that.
yeah, okay, well then yeah, so you understand. So I think that that's still there, and I have to try to tell myself or remind myself that there's a logical explanation for these things. Think of that first,
Yeah.
So, and then I'm 43 years
Find
old,
it.
huh?
Find it.
Yeah, and I'm 43 years old, and I'm just starting to learn to get to that point. Like I gotta stop thinking that it's magic, and there is like an explanation for it. And I guess too, also, I just want to believe that there is some sort of magic, right? Like I want to believe that there is powers that are unseen, because it makes the world seem more like a fantasy instead of a machine, and
Yeah, but for me, the pursuit of that knowledge, powers that are unseen, is in science.
yeah,
the the fact is that there are things that we don't know, lots of things that we don't know, an entire universe full of them, and we can learn them, but it will take time
yeah,
and effort and you know government funding and grants.
yeah, yeah. Let me ask you about how do you feel about because you're how do you feel about a video game? Because I know you play video games. How do you feel
Hmm.
about a video game with poor physics? Does it really get does it get under your skin?
Yeah, yeah, I can't play
Okay.
it.
Do you notice like do you think you notice it more than like others might? Like I'm not
I hadn't really thought about that. I guess I might
okay.
because I've been trained to see it.
Will well, what about if like I know that certain things like the ragdoll physics, right? When a body is falling through the air and then hits, it may does that like take you out of the game? What's like more frustrating, like to see like the physics of like a vehicle or like a background thing happening, or like the main character? Like what takes you out more?
Background things.
Okay.
Yeah. Physics engines in games have come a long way.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and like what I'm currently playing, the physics is actually pretty good.
Okay.
Although the idea of somebody my size holding a hammer that size is still pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, magic though.
Yeah.
I think there's
All I
legit
can
magic
say is
there, right?
their strength must be magically based,
Yes, yes, yeah. And
and you have to go ahead.
no, I was gonna say like you have to like suspend disbelief in video
Right.
games and
Exactly.
so I was just curious, like from your perspective too, like where do you draw that line? Like, is it the main character? Is it the backgrounds? Like, is there?
It's the background.
Okay, all right. Yeah. It, now I know that the game Cyberpunk had all sorts of bugs and stuff, and I know that you played it. Was it Was it really bad, as everybody said?
No, it was good. It was a good game. I don't know why everybody was so upset about it. I mean, the bugs. I ran into a couple of system crashing bugs,
Okay.
but they corrected them,
Oh, okay.
and it was playable and it was fun.
Now, did you play that on a PlayStation or on a PC?
PlayStation.
PlayStation. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't even know. I think it's on PC. Anyways.
I believe so. I do. The only thing I use my PC for is photo manipulation and music.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's for creation.
Gotcha. It's probably best to keep it that way. um, anyways, yeah, I think we can go ahead and stop it now, and it was good talking to you. I appreciate
Yeah,
you talking to me, and
I'm just glad to talk to you.
yeah, yeah,
It's been
and
too long.
I know it's been a very long time. So, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it to the picnic. Money, all that and stuff, but
Yeah.
we're
Well,
trying
I'll
to.
bring an extra cigar anyway.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I would like to definitely have a smoke with you. So that'd be
Yeah.
great.